I wish I could. All right. All right, there we go. Live stream on YouTube. Devin, Myrna, this mic is all yours.
Hi, Dove.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm kind of smiling.
Uh-huh.
I could see that this whole thing is continuing, and as it should, by the way. There's definitely a lesson in that whole thing, and I think it's somebody else's lesson, but no, it's my lesson, and I haven't gotten to learn what the lesson is. But many years ago, way back in like 1980, when I used to lead groups in New York City, I said I would never bring up politics or religion because, after all, the purpose of politics is to divide people so we feel different and separate, and the same thing with religion. So you don't bring it up in a Course in Miracles group because the ego loves to hijack a group, and nothing makes it easier for the ego to hijack the group than to bring up politics or religion. But the funny thing, I see Sharon is here. I heard you, Sharon, earlier. I mean, I had said to our mutual friend, I only did this as a way to be helpful to Sharon, and I realized I don't know if I was helpful at all. But she was saying that she and her friend cannot understand why you are afraid of Donald when everybody is really afraid of Biden.
And that's the filter. But what do you mean you did it for me? I don't care who. I told you I'm over it now. I don't care anymore.
It's really, it's really, I laugh and I'm wondering what the lesson is. There's obviously a lesson here. I mean, and Lynn says she's going to give me the 1 hour recording. So as it happened, Michelle came in exactly at the time that I told the story about her. I don't even remember the words I used.
I don't remember that you said anything wrong. I just don't.
I did. I said that there's someone who actually I can't remember the exact words, but she says, I know you mentioned my name, but everybody knows who you're talking about. So I think only Sharon knows, but I don't know about anybody.
I had no idea. No
I
idea.
picked up nothing. Do you realize I picked up absolutely nothing?
Okay.
And she is both girls are friends of mine.
What?
I will not discuss politics because it doesn't help us. Now, I'm very honest. I love people that are healthy if they're going to run for president and they're not mentally ill. Okay. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. I don't care what anyone thinks. However, I also know that he's loved and we put him out there. So, I have my own viewpoint. These two girls, one of them of which I help all the time, they're good people. They just believed a different belief and none of it means anything because it's just a dream. So that's what I tell them. But again, I guess I think some people act as though he's Jesus and he's not. Please, so that's all. But I'm sure she got mad at you because that's what she likes to do.
She's really not mad at me. That is the truth. So, we wound up saying, I love you, and that's it. But what is amazing is how the story, I never seen a story get so completely twisted. Their thing is that Biden is not mentally well. They're afraid that he's going to do something terrible, and then people are going to be hurt. I mean, what am I going to say? I did put something up on the chat right now, which, believe it or not, she couldn't sleep last night, so she was up at 5 o'clock in the morning. She happened to put this up on her Facebook page, and this is what it says. You can look at it. What's done is done. What's gone is gone. One of the best life's lessons is learning how to let it go and move on. It's okay to look back at your memory, but never let the past stop you from moving forward. So I think that's a nice way to start the day here.
Yeah, I just don't want her to yell at you, but you don't care, so.
I know it's my lesson. I really do.
Okay,
There's something I haven't learned. Probably, to keep my word from 40 years ago, not to bring politics up, no matter.
yeah, that is a lesson. That's a lesson, yeah, for sure. Because it really is the truth, because it's only going to get crazier right
Everyone
now.
loves it because it jumps right in. I mean,
Right. It's a
you know,
sneaky Pete, it's sneaky Pete.
movie. Now, Myrna, I don't want to take all the time, so I'll turn the mic over to you.
No, I'm enjoying this. Please take up all the time.
Actually, Glorian has her hand.
Go ahead. Who has a hand up?
I do. I'm
go
just
ahead.
gonna be quick. The
No,
thing
go
is, the opinions don't matter. We have
Yeah.
the answer in the course. Jesus tells us God's Son is guiltless. Jesus tells us accept the atonement for ourselves. He tells us in psychotherapy, purpose, practice, process. Everyone here is a patient. So we're here to forgive. Just forgive. And I absolutely will not participate in any of this from either side. And I get attacked for that. But the idea is I know that everyone is aligning themselves with what makes them feel safe.
That's true.
Therefore, it's a call for love. A
Right.
call for love, as we were taught, as Jesus tells us, is met with love. Amen. Doesn't matter. All of us have our opinions.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Gloria. You just said that, that we want to feel safe. And if we have a certain belief, and politics is a great example, and we align ourselves with what we believe is going to make us safe, then somebody with an opposite view is making us unsafe. How can I live in the world that you're telling me is safe when I know for a fact that it's not? My world is safe. So that made me realize too, it's fear, really. When people are grasping at straws and discussing politics, I certainly have my points of view. And who do I discuss them with? I discuss them with people that agree with me. It makes me feel good. I certainly don't want to have a conversation with somebody who's on the opposite side of the fence. So we want agreement, we want to feel safe, we want to feel good about our ideas, and we want to, but yet what are we doing? We're really opposing the Course in Miracles that tells us we're always safe, and that we don't need anything except the love of God and the truth of who we are, and to recognize that there's nothing else that matters, nothing. And that's what we have to keep aligning ourselves with, feeling safe in the knowledge that we're protected, that we are loved and we are protected, and that we'll know what to do in situations that come up that make us fearful, or situations that we find that we're in a bind, and that we don't know what to do. If we just rely on the one who knows, then we're safe. And I know that in my heart and soul. Do I get into discussions about politics? Yes. It's just a story. That's it. I like the story that's ongoing. It's the story that's causing me to get into the ego thought system, and I'm completely away from the Course in Miracles when I'm feeling when I believe that politics is gonna, the politics that I believe in is gonna save us, that I believe in, not what you believe in, what I believe in. So it's an interesting conversation. It really is. We were talking, I don't know, you were talking before about somebody, apparently, I don't know who that was. I have no idea, I have no clue, but it's interesting how something came up. And, I can't help but look at page number 28. I am here to be only truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. And this conversation drew me to this paragraph where we have to keep reminding ourselves that our only mission is to be helpful and to represent he who sent me. And how do we do that? We represent he who sent me by feeling love, feeling goodness, happiness, whatever it is that we're supposed to be feeling, other than what the ego tells us to. And we can just exude that feeling, that truth. We don't even have to talk about it. Just know that it's there, and people get that presence in you. And that's really all we have to do, is just to be helpful, and it's not about voicing our opinions that very often are ego based, but to just be within the truth of the love that we're given to feel, the gift that we're given to feel. As Lynn said earlier, forgiveness, it's a gift. If we can forgive, that's a gift. And I totally believe that. I see that, to have a forgiving heart. I like to think that I do. Anyway, I'm going to give it to you, Doug.
Okay, I see Karen's hand up. Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing and keep it really short, that for me, I think it's helpful not to take any of this stuff so seriously, right? I mean, it is not that serious. And that is the main thing that I'm learning in this course, that we're all going to have different opinions and we are going to disagree. And especially when it comes to politics, not to take it seriously. That's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I see that Gloria put up, opinions are always of the ego. And we have our appointed friend and healer. I'm just going to share something I heard yesterday from Ken Wapnick. We're on the Happy Dream, and it's a 3-hour audio. I listened to it last night a second time, because I listened to it in the morning, and instead of turning on TV last night, I listened to the Happy Dream. I heard him say something I never heard him say before. You can't go to the Holy Spirit until you have fired the ego as your teacher. And I can understand why that's true, because if the ego is still in charge, the only reason we get upset at anything, including politics and personalities in politics, is the ego is telling it he's no good. He's not for you. You aren't safe. That's why we get upset, because we still listen to a man talking to us. So if you're going to go to the Holy Spirit and you still have the madman talking to you, he says, hey, that's like a wasted trip. You want to come empty-handed, open-minded, then come and say, what is this for? Because the Holy Spirit doesn't see people, personalities. The ego does, because he made it all up. And I just want to share that Lynn Johnson says all beliefs will point to this if properly interpreted. I guess you're looking at Teacher's Manual, section 24. Is that?
Yeah, read that paragraph.
All right. It says heaven is here. There's nowhere else. Heaven is now. There's no other time. No teaching that does not lead to this. I'm going to say, I certainly agree with the paragraph. Of course I do. But everyone is not there. I mean, most
It doesn't matter where people are, Dove. It's saying that if it doesn't matter where people are, that whatever it is, it's the right place to be.
But all right. So I'm going to bring the thing back to me again. I thought I was being helpful to somebody else. And there's a lesson here. And I finally came to it this morning after this continued last night into the late hours throughout the state of Texas. And I realized, you really can't help people. You can only, be true to yourself. If you're true to yourself, people are helped. Remember, when I am healed, I'm not healed alone, means that if I see someone who needs healing, that's me. I'll turn it back over to you, Myrna.
Yeah, I wanted to see that paragraph again, wait, I'm gonna try and get it again. Okay. Heaven is here, there is nowhere else. Heaven is now, there is no other time. So this really drives home the truth that, that we can't go anywhere, really. We think that when we die, we're going to go to heaven. If we, we do we pay, we heed the good within ourselves, and that God will love us because we've done the best, we can, according to what we think the ego tells us is the best that we are. But there's no place to go. Heaven is not a place. Heaven is here. Heaven is in, and we have to really impound that on ourselves, knowing that there is nowhere to go. There's no other place. It's always here. And that's something that I have to constantly kind of recognize too, that we're here right now. And that, look at all the time that we're wasting, knowing that it's here, and yet we kind of throw it away for some kind of future place that we're going to. And that is that line alone is so very important, because let's save the time by, yeah. Do you want to say something? I don't know. I thought I heard a little interference. Okay. And so, and no teaching that does not lead to this is of concern to God's teachers. No teaching that does not lead to this is of concern to God's teachers. Well, yeah, who are we? We're placed here by God to be a teacher, to lead the way, to be a front runner, whatever you want to say, to be the best we can, in that we are just following the dictates of the Holy Spirit, I'm sorry, I don't like to use the word dictates, that's of the ego, to follow the love of the Holy Spirit, to follow the truth of the Holy Spirit. And, that's really what we're here to do. And if we can do that right here and now, then we have found heaven. Because what else is there? Heaven is all, about what we are able to teach ourselves to become fully aware of the fact that there really is no pain, there is no fear. We don't have to experience that if we fall into the teachings of the Course in Miracles, telling us over and over that all we have to do is be in God's holy, loving arms, and God's love, the universe, love, healing, it's a consciousness. God is not a person, again, who's up in heaven pulling the strings like a puppeteer. God is consciousness that we're a part of. And if we can embody that, recognizing that, then then we can see it more clearly. So in this sense, it can be said that their truth lies in their usefulness. Well, what is our usefulness? Our usefulness is to be the bearers of truth, and to practice what we're taught to understand through the teachings of the Course in Miracles, that we already know inherently, but the Course in Miracles gives us the tools to navigate properly through life. And people will, if we can be helpful in that respect, then we are living our truth. We are living all we can do, and there's nothing else we need to do. So anyway, so this is a good paragraph, really. This is the sole criterion the Course requires. No more than this is necessary. You don't have to do anything else. There's nothing, I need do nothing. The Course indicates that I need do nothing. And when we know that we need do nothing, just be who we are, and the truth within shows itself. The truth will show itself if we are willing to accept it, if we're ready to accept it. And I love that feeling that I get. I don't meditate, but what I do is I bring Jesus into my heart, into my love, and God into my daily activity whenever I think of it. And I get that illuminating feeling that is, that I feel that I'm getting recognition, that I feel that I'm getting agreement from the universe, from God, from Jesus. We're all connected, Holy Spirit. And that's what I try to really keep that feeling alive within. Anyway, I turn it back to you, Doug.
Okay, actually, I took a look at what section 24 in the manual is, and I realized is the name of the section is reincarnation. So, and I have underlined that last paragraph, paragraph 6, as a very important paragraph. But it also starts out by saying, is reincarnation so? And he says, in the ultimate sense, no. It says reincarnation is impossible. And then in the first paragraph, it says, but anything that's helpful to you is okay. Anything that helps you is okay. So, I'm looking at this all over again. As it happened, I don't know how many people, I'm going to say this, Myrna, if it's okay with you. Myrna and I have been on for 2 years, and we've had, I think, a really lovely Tuesday morning session. It's always been a pretty good session from 11:30 to 12:30. But very early in our being together, I realized that Myrna watches Fox and I watch CNN. And she said, yeah, that's right. She said, that's what I believe in, so obviously we knew from 2 years ago or a year ago, whatever, that we are on opposite sides of a fence called politics, but we never discuss it. But, it's okay to look at it, because if you discuss it in a peaceful way, you really start to see, well, that's my belief system. And you know how I feel, I believe that this is better for us. And someone else said, I believe that that's not good for us. And, of course, in this world, there's going to be duality, conflict, a world of opposites, things that oppose you. And that's being okay with it. If you're not okay with it, you're doing what the ego wants you to do. Don't look at it and you'll be okay. Don't look at, if you go there, you're not going to be okay. You're going to be swallowed up. That's not true. That is not true. Exactly what Karen said yesterday. Everything happens perfectly. And I called in from the road. I was driving the car at the time. I said, hey, if everything is happening perfectly, there is no guilt. And Karen said, that's right. So I don't know. I'm sharing that right now because, there is no such thing as verboten. Politics is verboten. Religion is verboten.
I like that. Yeah. It's funny. You're right. You and I never were able to discuss whatever we feel, and it's not, we do it peacefully. But I have to bring up an ex-boyfriend of mine of 10 years. We had a home together. We lived, everything was great. Great. I mean, the relationship was good. But then what happened, I think it happened during COVID, and the political arena came into play, and my beliefs were different from his. My beliefs were different. And he couldn't handle that. I mean, I was able to accept what he believed in, but he couldn't accept what I believed in. I am on the right, he's on the left, and he kept making, he made it became the centerfold of our relationship. And then when I refused to get vaccinated, I mean, that was it. Good, I'm leaving you unless you, change your ways, I'm going. And, I'm very proud of myself because I didn't know, we had a home together. I felt comfortable. I felt safe because there was someone in my life for 10 years. And here he's leaving. But I'm really glad that I really held true to my own principles. I did. I could have changed. I could have said, no, you're right, and I'll get vaccinated. I'll go. But I never gave into that. And believe me, that generated a lot of fear at first. But I'm so happy that I did stick to my own, beliefs and my own convictions, whatever they were. I wasn't going to change. I wasn't going to change what I was feeling, because I felt that what he was doing was wrong, and I would, become, somebody that he was controlling. Anyway, today, what happened? We split up, and interestingly enough, we're friends. We really are. I mean, there's somebody else in my life who I get along with. I mean, he's so much better for me, and I'm better for him. Okay, because we are in agreement with, not because we just believe that we give each other a lot of space, let's put it that way. We don't try to control each other, and whatever it is, what I'm getting at is that things are today for me as they should be, better than they were under the previous rule of someone that was trying to change me. Anyway, I just, brought that up. So it's so crazy how something that's so, that we say is not real, is not true, how it causes relationships to break up. That's how powerful it is, especially today, more so than ever before. So, we have to come to terms with it, more so than ever before, because it really does. I don't remember anything in the past being as volatile as it is today regarding politics, and to the point where it really kind of just broke up a relationship, and you hear that happening all the time. Go ahead, Lynn.
Yeah, wow. This is such a lovely conversation. And what I wanted to say as I was listening, because, Myrna, when I first met you and, I kind of heard how you were thinking, I was like, oh man. But you were probably thinking kind of the same thing about me. I don't know. But what I learned and what I know is that, these are points of view. When you have a point of view, you're looking at something from a distance. You're looking at it from a distance, and you can only see it from your point of view. And that's why everyone has one that's different than everyone else's. And it doesn't matter. You could be, coming in here. I mean, it doesn't matter, what a person is saying or thinking. It is based on our belief, our thought of what makes us safe, what's going to help us, and what's going to make the world a better place. Whatever it is that we seem to care about that we think is important, that's where we're coming from when we establish our point of view. And you can actually move around. You don't have to stay in that one point of view. You can move into other points of view, and people do it all the time. We do it constantly. It's, changing your beliefs about things. And so, when I saw that all that is just, that is not permanent. It's not real. It has nothing to do with the reality of Myrna, has nothing to do with the reality of Lynn. All it has to do with is our role in the dream, our role in the script and what we're doing here. And when I decided, very quickly with you, because you're adorable. And so, and so, I realized, why would it matter to me what her thinking, what her point of view is? Why would it matter to me in any way at all? I mean, that's what makes the world go round. That's how we keep, because we're all looking at the same thing, trying to figure out, where do I fit in? What works here for me? And you're not the only person, and there's other people, several other people who come in here and teach. And I hear all kinds of stuff that like my little ears perk up. Oh my goodness, no, really? But and it really, honestly, what does that have to do with anything? If and that's why I posted that paragraph. Whatever it is, if you look at it with the right mind, you're going to see that it's right. When you look at it with the right mind, you're going to see that your brother is right. That's why I trust my brother who is one with me. And that's why, you know, I mean, how many times does Jesus tell us in the course, you know, your brother is your savior? And, you know, not because they're trying to hurt you, but because they're really here to show you that your point of view isn't any more valid than anybody else's point of view. And the object that we're looking at is truth. So, you know, standing back and looking at it and making up stories isn't helping anybody, when really we just need to be coming to the truth. And the truth is we're the same. We're one. There's no difference between us, whatever we believe. You know, that has nothing to do with, you know, in the kingdom, in heaven, which is here and right now, everybody is everything and everything is perfect. So anything that we have that says it's not, you know, just, you know, and I know, you know, that was that section was about reincarnation, but also, you know, it was about doing the same thing over and over and over again and thinking we're going to get a different result. And, you know, the only result that can come is more confusion. So let's stop doing that. Let's stop even, you know, thinking about what other people think about. It's none of my business. Terry Cole Whitaker told us that. So, you know, so let's just stop thinking about what you're thinking about and think about what I'm thinking about. Now I sound like Regis. Anyway, that's all I have to say. And the radio is back up. So my brilliant husband figured out what the problem was, and thank God I live with a computer engineer. Anyway, I'll turn it back to you guys.
Thank you, Len. Sharon, go ahead.
What I was going to say is I ran into that, Myrna, too. I had a boyfriend years ago that, and this is way before this period of time, that kind of didn't want anything to do with me because I was on the other side. So that I had that happen. You know, he was a Fox News person. I was more CNN. And I feel like it's just the way the ego divides us. But what we need to do is to be curious about each side rather than assaulting people. I was listening to someone say, why not ask them, well, what do you find good about blah, blah, blah? Or what do you find good about blah, blah, blah? Because when we do that, we learn more. But when we throw our, you know, opinions, you know, how this conversation got into, there was somebody that, you know, Dove and Lynn and I know that just took it the wrong way, where Dove was not saying anything about, because he doesn't care. I mean, you know, I've known Dove for years. He does not care. You know, I cared more about who would win, for sure. Now, I don't really, my husband gets upset. He's very, very upset about this whole thing. I could care less. First of all, to me, you're absolutely magnificent, inside and out, you know, Myrna, and you're entitled to believe what you want to believe. If you love somebody or like someone that I don't, what does it have to do with our being the Son of God or Christ or any of it? But it took 4 years for me to get to this place. My son is an activist in Europe. Okay, so he's dealing with a lot of fascism. So he too has to go through a lot because, you know, we are much more left than we are right. And he's going through that in Europe now because that's what's taking over. If you realize, I'm trying to tell him this too, everybody's in this together. Like when we look at Israel and Palestine, if we keep taking sides, and listen, I'm Jewish, and so are you, Myrna, and so's Doug. We get upset about this stuff, but look at the way, you know, and a lot of people believe that the right is more for Israel. So that's another reason why people that are Jewish, you know, it's all just words, concepts. We're getting away from the one thing we're here from, the nowness, what we really are. And I think it's important that we talk about it because I just don't want anybody to get the idea, because at this point, I don't care. I really don't. I'm never going to hurt a friendship again. Never. Because people mean too much to me and I'm here a very short time. And I just want to say thank you for sharing what you shared, Myrna. And that's all.
Thank you. That was very clear, by the way. Thank you for that. Go ahead. I didn't mean.
Go ahead, go ahead. It's
Yeah,
your turn.
Myrna.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you, but
So,
uh,
yeah, I was thinking you happened to mention the pandemic and your boyfriend, and I don't know if it's about getting a needle or not getting a needle, but that was more divisive than even politics. Families broke up; they didn't talk to each other. People said, if you ever got a needle, don't even bother calling me ever." I mean, it was really crazy, and all it was I have a point of view. My point of view is the needle is more dangerous than the thing. I'm safe with the pandemic. I don't care about COVID, but I don't want the needle that's going to hurt me and kill me. I mean, and people don't talk to each other since God knows when.
okay, but I want to just say it's all the media. The media. I mean, that's really what the big problem is. The media, do you hear the same story from, you're listening from one side, you hear one thing, you're listening to the other side, and the division, the divisiveness with politics is what is really troubling because, it used to be what, politicians try to work with each other. That's completely not the case anymore. There's one side and there's another side, and that's what is really damaging. So I really see that the media is the big problem, and that's what and that's what I believed when I was during COVID. That I didn't really trust the media. I really didn't. I'm a person doesn't believe in really taking injections. Yes, I do believe, that there are certain, vaccines you need to take, and certainly I don't. Children should be vaccinated, from certain illnesses. But at the same time, I also believe that children are over-vaccinated. That I believe that that the pharmaceutical companies were all too powerful, and whatever it was, those were my. I believed that it was all political, this whole thing with COVID. I never stopped believing that. And that really put me in a different arena. I got kicked out of a mahjong group. Why? Because were they going to die because I wasn't vaccinated? Am I going to kill that person? That's what the hype was all about. And I accepted that too. Rather than get vaccinated, I decided that I was going to stick to my convictions. And now I have another mahjong game. Years later, but I have to laugh at that really because, that's the big problem really is the media. And once I think if it ever comes to the point where the media starts to kind of really divulge the truth about what things are, we're not listening to the truth. And that's why we have to come to our own conclusions. The way I see it, I don't want to talk about politics, but the only way I see it is that I think we were a lot better off 4 years ago than we are today. That's all I'm going to say. That's what I believe. Okay, that 4 years, and the country was according to my beliefs. We were. I don't want to get into it. I could, but I won't. But again, those are my beliefs. And, the media really is so divisive about this. You don't really know what the real truth is. Anyway, so I turn it back to you, Dove.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Yesterday, Dr. Fauci, who hasn't been around for about a year since, he headed up the entire scientific study of COVID, was asked to testify before Congress, who was not happy with him because that committee is headed up by people that were kind of against him all along. But he shared that before he retired, he had received hundreds of death threats, and he actually had to get protection and people to guard his house. He was that afraid of now, exactly as you say, Myrna, people used to talk things out.
Mm-hmm.
It was pointed out that when Ronald Reagan was around, even though he was a Republican and O'Neill was the Speaker of the House, and they had opposite points of view, they used to get together after work for a beer or a drink and just talk about the good things in life. That never happens anymore. So we are going through the dark night of the soul. There's no two ways about it. I mean, I've been around almost 100 years. I've never, ever seen this world so divisive as right now. Everything that happens in Washington, people want to have a hearing and ask, why is this happening?
Yeah, yeah.
They had the Attorney General of the United States saying to him, you know, why did you have any influence in New York? He didn't have any influence in New York, none whatsoever. But people are making others wrong. That's the dark night of the soul.
Yes. Michaela has her
What?
hand.
Oh,
Michaela.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Myrna. I just want to say that that we are going through the dark night of the soul, Dove. And you know, when the COVID, Myrna, you were talking about the COVID and people's belief system and all of that. I, you know, I believe in vaccines, but like Dove said, kind of, I don't feel, you know, that I think sometimes you can get over vaccinated, but I was working in nursing in California at the time that COVID hit, and I was doing home health, and the agency that I worked for, because it ended up because of HEPA violations, they could not force it on you to get vaccinated as a nurse, but the problem I was having was the families of the homes that I would go into were requesting that only nurses come in that were vaccinated for COVID. So I had rent to pay. So I sat quiet with it, and I ended up getting the COVID vaccines. And, you know, it made me, and I didn't make it into a problem. And it made me think about the monks in India and in Tibet that have actually drank poison and it didn't affect their body. So I just realized that I'm not going to make this into a problem. And when I went to go get the COVID vaccine at the drugstore, I quieted my mind before I went. I went in with a different frequency, a different tone. And as I sat there and the pharmacist came to inject me, I just kind of exhumed love. You know, I was just in more with my right mind. So I was okay with it. It didn't matter to me. So it brought me peace to not lie. I didn't want to do a white lie and come into the home and say I've been vaccinated when I wasn't vaccinated. So I was like, how can I be a student of A Course in Miracles and study this and then be lying to this family? They obviously, their thought system is that, you know, they believe in the thought system of that it's going to hurt you. So that you need to be vaccinated, you know. So I just did that, and I was at peace, and I'm still at peace today. I'm okay. I don't make it into a problem. So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Yeah, I think what you did was fabulous. I really mean that. You did what you had to do, but you did it with a sense of peace. And I think when we do anything like that, anything at all, then you are safe. You're completely safe, you know, and you did what, you know, that what you needed to do. I understand that too. And yeah, just a matter of how we, you know, how we you're right, how we accept things if we're in peace about it. I think I was in peace about the fact that I wasn't, you know, I made the decision not to be vaccinated. I did it in a peaceful way, you know, to myself. I felt I didn't do it with, you know, you know, to be at odds, you know, with society. I didn't do it for that reason. I just that was me. I just, you know, really didn't believe that the vaccination was gonna, gonna help me. And so that I chose not to do it. So it's, as long as we're at peace and whatever we do is all we need to be at, that's the way it works. That's exactly, the way, we need to go about our lives, the way we feel, just as long as we're at peace. I just have to mention, Dov, you mentioned Fauci. Do you know Anthony Fauci's pension will amount to over $400,000 and top the annual salary that the President of the United States brings in? I just had to read that to you. I knew it was he had a very, very high pension, $400,000 a year, Fauci. Anyway, so.
I say Glorian and Lynn, I just want to say one thing. State of Florida, you're a hero if you didn't take a jab. In the state of New York, you had to carry with you an ID that said where and when and who gave it to you, and you could not get into a restaurant to eat unless you had it, period. So different states had different ways of looking.
That's why I love DeSantis. I really did, because he really, I think, kind of stood by that. That he didn't force masks on children. The state of Florida was a little bit easy to get through with not being vaccinated. I think in New York, if I was still in New York, it would have been a different story. So,
Glorian.
Yeah, I'm just going to be quick. I just, before Myrna was saying, when I put the thumbs up, about, the media and how the media influences what people think. And there was something on Netflix, I can't think of the name right now, but it said what the whole documentary was about is those listening to CNN are thinking a certain way, and those listening to Fox are thinking a certain way. And we all know that any good lawyer can be persuasive in, in what they're suggesting. So just the idea of that. And, it would always come to me like, I mean, at least for me, I thought it was that way. News in the 1960s and 70s was just like, okay, this is the fact. And then everyone made their own interpretation about it. And now there's a lot of opinion, and opinion is always the ego. And, of course, growing up, my father was very involved politically, and he ran for Congress, and it's a whole thing, but that made me think a certain way. And then at a certain point in my life, I had to come to that. It actually came to me as an epiphany that it's all hatred. I'm saying I'm doing something, somebody else is, it's all hatred, which is of the ego. And that really encouraged us to go within and look for what's really there, which, is the love. The love is really all that's there beyond any concept. Everyone wants to feel loved, safe, and free. And if we remember that, then how can we attack a brother? It's a call for love. Anyway, that's enough for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Glorian. Len, go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess, I had to, of course, step in because, my partner is a nurse and she works in the ICU. She works at the hospital, and during the whole COVID hoax, she saw lots and lots and lots of people die from a very, very terrible condition. And for anybody to think that the media made that up when you could just see it at the hospital when there was a trailer truck out there, refrigerator truck for bodies, because there's not enough room in the morgue for all the people that have died. And we look and see that over 1 million people died in that just during that first big rush. It just seems to me to be disingenuous to think that if anybody tells me that it was a hoax, I'm going to tell them, to, step away because, of course it's all a hoax because it's a dream and it's an illusion. But, when my own niece died, when people around you are dying like flies, it does change your mind about it. And, because I saw it every day. And then she worked as a vax nurse and vaccinated, hundreds of people. And when I got my vaccination, when that went into me, I just envisioned it going to my body, going to my cells, regenerating my cells, making them stronger, making them healthier, making them more resilient, keeping them, alive so that I could live. That's all I thought about it. I didn't think, oh, here's a poison coming into me. Oh, I'm afraid of what's going to happen. Am I going to get sick? I didn't think that at all. I just said, thank you, Jesus, for for them coming up with this thing that could maybe preserve my health and my life. So it's a whole different point of view. And I don't think either one of them, according to A Course in Miracles, really makes a difference. It doesn't make a difference. It only makes a difference in our life, in the world, and what we think about. Right now, I don't go out without a mask. I don't go to the grocery store. I don't go to anywhere without a mask. When somebody comes to my door, I put on a mask. Why? Because I realize that, you know, they could have something I don't want. And on the other hand, when I go places and people ask me, why are you wearing a mask? For my health, my safety, as well as yours. Because what if I have something? What if something, you know, I just, people are so careless with their spit. So anyway, that's enough of that. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. There's lots of reasons why, but the real reason is, I think this body can be hurt. And I think that, there's some reason to try to keep it alive
Yeah.
when I don't have anything to do with any of it. Anyway, back to you guys.
I can tell you that I never wore a mask, unless I had to wear a mask. I didn't believe that masks were helpful to me. I just believe that that you contain more bacteria, that way, or whatever it is. That was my belief. I never got vaccinated, and I never got COVID. Okay, I mean that was in that respect. That's how I felt. I also know that thousands of people die from the seasonal flu. You die from the flu. I was reasoning it that way as well, that, this is really, there was much more, news and hysteria regarding the COVID than the flu is there. It does kill people. I mean, so I just, anyway, again, we're at different points of view about that. That's all it is. And we're discussing it. We're discussing it peacefully, and anyway, it's fine. How do you feel, Dov?
Add a little levity, hopefully. I don't know. Yesterday, when they called Fauci in, they didn't call him in to testify in front of Congress, to make him a hero. They wanted to make him bad and look bad. And they started off by saying to him, Dr. Fauci, are you a man of science? Does everything that you do have to do with science? He said, yes, yes, yes. And they said, well, where does it say in science that you have to be 6 feet apart from somebody? And they actually stopped him dead in his tracks, because he said, well, nowhere in science does it say that. And then they said, well, why did you use that? You had 240 million people in this country believing that if you're 6 feet away from somebody, you're okay. Where's the science? He had no answer to it, but that's the only levity I have this morning on that. That's all.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. It's I look at it, it's done, it's over with. I don't even think about it anymore. But
laugh. I mean,
yeah, that is funny. It really is. I'll tell you something really funny. Okay. Has nothing to do with politics. I went to there's a little place called Black Box Theater. Oh, okay, I have a minute or two left, in Florida. And the Black Box Theater is a little place. It almost looks like an improv type place that you find in New York. It's just a place that you can't kind of come in. They have talent. Anyway, they had this illusionist Saturday night called Friday night, Dan Sperry. And I remember hearing his name somewhere. He's an illusionist, a comedian. and an illusionist. And I really, you talk about illusion. Yeah, he's on the macabre. That's how he advertises himself. He's macabre, and he was indeed. He's swallowing razors. Now you'd swear that he's swallowing razor blades. Okay, but it's all an illusion, like anything else. It made me see more than anything that that it's illusory. It all is. In fact, when I say he was a comedian, he's kind of walking around the audience, and he sees this little old lady. Now here I'm referring to as a little old lady sitting in the audience. He says, "Here, hold this," and he hands her a book of matches. She goes, "No, no, 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 no." He says, "I'm just asking you to hold it. I'm going to, hold the matches. Just hold it for me." "No, no, no, I'm afraid of fire. I'm afraid of fire." So he says, "I'm not asking you to light the matches. I'm not asking you to light them. I'm just asking you to hold them. For all I know, you could be some pyromaniac chick." Okay. I just thought that was so funny. A little old lady, that you could be a pyromaniac chick. Well, I thought it was very funny. So you have to laugh. You have to forget, and you have to just kind of get out of them.
I'm going to add a little to that thing. There was a movie made in Europe about master magicians, and it starts out by saying, it says, the master magician has a big advantage over his audience. What is that? The audience comes there to be fooled and tricked. So their mind is already open to the illusion. You could say the same thing about this world. We came here to be fooled and tricked, literally, which is why the illusion works for us, because, I want to forget. I want to dream. I want to have hope. And the one thing you don't want to have in a dream is hope. It's just a dream. You want to wake up. You don't want to hope. Okay, with that, much, Myrna, thank you. Everybody who joined in and everyone who didn't join in, we're all the same. We're all one, equal. We are one. And back over to you, Lynn. I see Rev Wayne and Audrey in the room, and we're about to take on a whole new subject. Maybe.
A whole new subject. Thank you so much, Dov and Myrna. This has been a great hour. I have really enjoyed hanging out with you guys and having this conversation. And what I love is that we could have all different opinions, and we recognize that that doesn't overcome the love that we have for each other. It in fact adds to it, because we can look at each other and say, thank goodness you are the way you are.
And then I'm attached to your beauty, okay? Because that's what you exude, and that's the part of me that attaches to you and loves you. I know that in my heart. So, I mean,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're adorable. That's what's so crazy. You're just so adorable. No wonder I'm so happy